So tell me about Grace, the character of Grace.
Oh, Grace. The only way I could describe Grace is just pure beauty, energy, and light. I can't even begin to describe how much that she's done for me, for others, for all of us, really. She,
What's she like? What's Grace like?
she's filthy yet endearing. She's sloppy yet perfected. She's everything that we all want to be.
Would you say she's conflicted or just complex?
I would say she's comfortable. I mean, she's aware of this complexity, but she knows exactly who she is. At any given moment, she doesn't have to adapt to any situation.
All right, you've named your character Grace Jonestown. Just how much is she based on Grace Jones?
I'd say she's more heavily based on her attitude. If you look at her visually, she's definitely not as altogether there as Miss Jones. Grace Jones is just perfected that aesthetic so heavily, but Grace Jonestown takes all of that attitude into account. She carries it with her in every fiber of her being. She's just completely in control of herself in any situation.
Where does Grace Jonestown end and Brendan Cook begin, and vice versa?
God, I don't really know how to answer that question anymore.
I've known Brendan since we were in school together, and I've always liked him. He's a good guy, but I saw him when he was doing Grace, and Brenda's not there. It's a scary thing.
So Grace is the MC for a burlesque company.
Yeah.
And what's the name of this company?
There's the Camellia Bay Burlesque. It's here, in Alabama.
Okay.
And we have the most beautiful women from all the corners of the globe. We bring them in right here to put on the best damn show you've ever seen.
I approached Brendan because I was doing a David Bowie tribute show, and there was something about him. I just thought he'd be perfect for it. I mean, Grace has so much stage presence, and when she speaks, you're in a trance, you listen, and the audience, I can tell they enjoyed her as well.
I spoke with your uncle Gus, and he told me that when you were a child, you had an imaginary friend. For about 3 years, you adamantly held to the fact that this imaginary friend was real, from the ages of 7 until 12, and was named Lacey Gracie. Is there any connection between Grace Jonestown and your imaginary friend?
I haven't thought about Lacey Gracie in years. Now that I think about it, Lacey did have a lot of the same physical similarities that Grace does. She's very tall, very gorgeous, very domineering as well.
What did your friend Lacey Gracie do for you as a child?
She did everything. The time that she came around, was a particularly ugly period for me, and I needed someone to come in and help, pretty up the joint. And whenever she showed up, that was what she set to doing right away. Just removed any imperfection. She hated imperfection.
Are you familiar with Kristen Lundquist?
No.
How about the name of Ronald Smith?
No.
Lamont Trayer?
No.
Are you familiar with any of the child disappearances that happened in Mobile, Alabama in 1996?
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I was young at the time, so it's vague, but yeah.
Well, let me refresh your memory. In 1996, over a course of 4 months, 13 children disappeared. No bodies were ever recovered, no forensic evidence was ever found, no suspects were ever named. The only thing that tied these children together was the fact that they played a game called Lacy Gracie, in which they would go to a well, and they would say Lacy Gracie 3 times, and they would spit in the well each time. And they dared each other to do this because they believed that Lacy Gracie would come for them if they did it. Now my question for you is, how did you come up with an imaginary friend at the time that this was happening that matched this game? Did you ever play this game?
No, she came to me and she told me that that was what her name was. It's all it was. There was never any game.
There is a whole lot of ugly in this world, honey. And there has to be a point where someone stands up and says, enough is enough. And I'm the one doing that. I am the one ridding the ugly out of this world. I'm the one bringing beauty back to our earth. Time for you to touch up, sweetie. What are you doing to him? I'm making him beautiful. Is it hurting him? That's life, honey. It hurts until it doesn't.